past 7 days have been truly transformational with many landmark events that have happened as the days have gone by. And in this week's Informed Investor, we have a choice of going through those news items one by one and trying to decipher whether it really means much to you as an investor. For example, the government considering the fact that they will allow FDI investments in the mega IPO that is to be launched. And this IPO, as you rightly guessed, is the IPO of LIC, which is valued at about 261 billion US dollars. Now, if government allows the FDI investments to be in LIC, then as per the definition of RBI, any investment of 10% and above is considered as an FDI investment by either an individual or by an institute that invests. Now, we could look at this particular news, or we could look at a news where NSE has directed its participants to stop selling digital gold. And this will come effect from the 10th of September. Whether it means of any investment value to you, well, there are many other items or many other news events that have happened that are of equal significance. For example, the news that the China steel production has actually mellowed down, but still we see the July numbers being very high because of the countries across the globe pepping up the steel production. And finally, the news that the Indian Bank Association, which is the IBA, has decided to move the application to the RBI seeking their permission, their application support for launching what we know as the NARCL, which is the National Asset Reconstitution or Reconstruction Company, or the Bad Bank as you know it. Now, all of these events are very good for you to know as an investor, but there is one event that we thought that we'll spend most of the time today. And if this event goes by and is implemented well, the changes that are suggested, then please believe me, this could be the biggest and the boldest reform that has ever been seen for infrastructure sector in India. Now, if you understand this given change which is coming about, then I'm sure as an investor you will take away a lot for the 7 days that have gone by. Now, for you to be able to make these changes, decipher it, understand it, and imbibe it, will need at least 10 to 15 minutes of time, and that is where we request you to sit back, relax, have that cup of coffee, tea, whatever you enjoy, and soak in whatever we are trying to tell you from insights that really matter. Remember, you're watching The Third Empire as a part of Informed Investor by Research and Ranking. Shall we begin? The recent budget that our finance minister presented can best be described as a capex-led stimulus budget instead of a consumption-oriented budget. Now, both of these are very different terms. You have to understand the significance of it, because the choice that India took was to go against the global ratings of having to decide for a fiscal deficit, which many of the pundits said, what about 5%? But when the budget was presented, the fiscal deficit that was said to be expected at that one point in time was 9.5%. And in FY22, the same fiscal deficit was projected to be 6.8%. And the glide down path to FY25 meant that the fiscal deficit was going to be 4.5%. So the budget did not care about the global ratings agencies that would basically downgrade the sovereign bond ratings of India as a country. But why is it so important that I'm harping on a fact that the budget was aggressive? Please keep in mind that when we're looking at the allocation to the spending on capital expenditure, then we're talking about an increase of not 5 or 10%. We're talking about an increase of about 34.5%. And 34.5% would mean that 4.1 lakh crore का जो बजट FY21 के लिए था, वो इंक्रीज कर दिया गया टू द पॉइंट ऑफ 5.54 lakh crores or 5.54 trillion INR. This is quite significant. Now when I said capital expenditure, I hope आप लोग confused नहीं हो रहे between two types of different spendings that the government does. उसको मैं simple terms से समझा देता हूँ आपको, ताकि as an informed investor, next time if somebody speaks to you that the aim of the government is to have an X percentage of their GDP as a revenue expenditure, you'll be able to understand of it. So there are two types of expenditures. One is known as a revenue expenditure, then the other is known as a capital expenditure. A revenue expenditure is basically the operational expenses and liabilities that the government has, and the examples of this could be the wages, salary, it could be the grants to the state, it could be the pension, and these are operational expenses, right? The other is capital expenditure. Now, capital expenditure is basically the expenditure that the government incurs in creating or acquiring a fixed asset. Now, creation or acquiring a fixed asset would mean a machinery, a land, a building. It could be health infrastructure. It could be even the weaponry. Now, all of these are assets that get created, and if the parlance is with infrastructure, सिर्फ infrastructure की बात करते हैं, तो अगर मैं capital expenditure की बात कर रहा हूँ infrastructure को लेके, then I'm talking about creation of national highways. I'm talking of roadways. I'm talking of waterways. I'm talking of railways or shipping ports, right? This is the capital expenditure that the government has increased from FY21 to FY22, and the increase is not mean. It is about 34.5%. It's a very, very bold move by the government, right? Now, capital expenditure के फायदे क्या हैं? अगर आप सोच रहे होंगे इतना गवर्नमेंट ने बढ़ाया है, तो इसके फायदे क्या हैं? फायदे ऐसे हैं कि capital expenditure has a multiplier effect, okay? अब multiplier effect समझाने के लिए मैं आपको एक एग्जांपल बताता हूँ. Not so long ago, exactly speaking 23 years ago, I decided to buy a property in Gurugram in Sona Road, and at that particular point in time, the property was valued at an X thousand rupees per square feet. At that given point in time, मुझे वो इतना attractive proposition नहीं लगा, because the infrastructure in and around at that given point in time building was not that developed. The road had pits. There was not a defined moment when you can say that the area looked developed. But to be honest, 9 years after, when I went back again to the same place, it was beyond recognition. Because वहाँ पे schools आ चुके थे, वहाँ पे जो road था, it was very, very well built. There were malls, there were shops all around, and then there was a hospital as well. Now all of this did not exist, but sprung up because of the infrastructure spending that the government did in creating that roadway, that highway over there. And all of a sudden, a new city sprung up. Now the hospitals are paying GST to the government, and so are the shops, and so are the shopping malls, and so are many other things. And that is what I'm saying, there's a multiplier effect. अगर आप capital expenditure के terms में इसको समझना चाह रहे हैं, so capital expenditure के फायदे ये हैं कि it basically improves employment, it generates new employment, it basically uplifts the spending power of the people participating in the economy. And if you were to talk of the overall benefits on infrastructure, अगर मैं roadways की बात करूँ या general infrastructure के terms में मैं बात करूँ, तो आप ये प्लीज समझिए कि लास्ट माइल कनेक्टिविटी जो होती है, जो पहले कभी एरियाज रोज़मर्रा की ज़िंदगी में हम सोच नहीं सकते कि हम कनेक्ट कर सकते हैं, बिकॉज इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर गेट्स कनेक्टेड. सो द लास्ट माइल कनेक्टिविटी इज देयर, द स्पीड एट विच द ओवरऑल exchanges can be done is bettered, the supply chain basically improves, there is an affordability that gets created because in abundance and on time you receive all the merchandise from far-flung areas, and there is a greater participation by everyone. So infrastructure का एक multiplier effect होता है, और multiplier effect अगर मैं आपको समझाने की कोशिश करूँ तो जो capital expenditure central government करती है उसका multiplier effect है 2.45 का, okay? And capital expenditure जो state governments करती हैं उसका multiplier effect है 2.00 का. और मल्टीप्लायर इफेक्ट जो आपको रेवेन्यू एक्सपेंडिचर में देखने को मिलता है वो है 0.99 का. So you can see the multiplier effect that the central government does on infrastructure has a far-fetched sort of a result for all of us, where economic revival basically takes place. Okay, अब इतनी अच्छी बातें हम लोगों ने कर ली कि कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर की वजह से इतना कुछ अच्छा होगा, बट इसके पैसे कहाँ से आएंगे? Alright, it's good to announce that the government is going to go from 4.1 lakh crores to 5.54 lakh crores. But ये पैसे कहाँ से आएंगे? So the good part about the budget that I had shot a studio on, that you can see as a reference to the past events that we've done, is that they did not tax you and me. The tax did not come in our pockets. But what it meant is that the government announced two specific measures जहाँ से इसको funding करने जा रही थी government. और वो दो specific measures हैं divestments के और monetization के. Divestments, if you want to understand this in a phrase, it's a beautiful phrase. I am not too sure who coined it, but it says that the government has no business to be in business. So when you look at the public sector enterprises or which are in the control of the central government or the state government, for example, BPCL, for example, Air India, we've heard of that name, for example, BEML, for example, IDBI, for example, Shipping Corporation of India, for example, Container Corporation of India, for example, Pawan Hans. Now these are all assets that fall under either the state or the center, and if there is a stake sale in it, right, a part of this particular asset is basically given to the private companies. That is known as divestment. So divestment का target जो government ने लिया वो लिया 1.75 lakh crores का, but बाकी का पैसा कहाँ से आएगा? And that is where the government announced that it will be introducing NMP. I told you there is a big announcement, there is a big event that, if executed well, can be a game-changing moment for all of us. The announcement is that Nirmala Sitharaman ji has announced NMP, and it's a beautiful article that appeared with Nirmala ji holding the NMP document. I've gone through that. It's about 114 pages. I would urge all of you, if you have time, to go through it. Otherwise, उसकी जो highlights हैं, जो आप तक matter करती हैं, मैं आपको बताने जा रहा हूँ. So NMP is the National Monetization Pipeline. National Monetization Pipeline को simple करते हैं कि monetization होता क्या है. Now anything which is tangible or intangible, if it is converted into money terms, is known as monetization. So when I talk about National Monetization Pipeline, इसके 2-3 examples मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूँ. Have you gone to a stadium which has been vacant for a very long time? Now that is an asset that the government intends to monetize, in the sense that, ठीक है, we are spending a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of energy on bringing India to sporting terms and improving our tally in global events like Olympics, but for most of the days the stadiums are empty. So what does the government do? It enters into a PPP, a public-private partnership, and then leases the stadium to a private firm for some contracted time. And for this lease period, the private firm can basically hold events, cultural fests, cultural events in the stadium, for which they pay a fee to the government. And that's the agreement or the contract that's signed. तो हुआ क्या? A stadium got monetized. In a similar sense, I'll give you an example of a particular event that had happened, which I feel is the pride of India. In 2006, the government decided to monetize an asset that today we all are very, very proud of. Can you guess an asset that I'm talking about that falls under the purview of AAI, which is the Airports Authority of India? This is an asset that was leased by the government to a private firm which is known as the GMR Group. Now this particular asset took 12,500 crores to come to the point that it is today, and it's already won the Leeds Gold Award. This asset, in fact, is acclaimed as one of the best airports across the globe. This is an example of what monetization can do. The other example that comes to my mind is, I'm not too sure अगर आप में से बहुत सारे लोग पुणे मुंबई एक्सप्रेसवे से कभी ट्रैवल आप लोगों ने किया है, because that is an asset that has been monetized as well for a period of 10 years, and the contract has been given to IRB infrastructure developers. Now this is an asset that has been contracted at a value of 8,262 crores and spans over 94.5 kilometers, where the tolling rights have been given to IRB infrastructure developers. Right? Imagine walking into a government guest house, and those are the guest houses that you have in states, uh, where you can basically monetize them, you can lease it to the private companies for a defined period of time. And these are the guest houses that ultimately become a very good place that are equivalent options to the hotels that you'd want to consider. Now, these are the merits of monetizing government assets. And if you go by the aim that the government is putting on paper, then by 2025 financial year, the government is aiming to raise 6 trillion, which is 6 lakh crores of revenue through monetization. Now, this may sound very, very big to all of us, but believe me, this is a very aspirational and a very, very, very aggressive, but a very defining moment for all of us. If this happens, then in the year FY22 alone, we will be looking at assets that will basically fetch the revenue of about 88,000 crores to the government, जो कि again एक बहुत significant amount है. Monetization का एक particular benefit आप देखिएगा, एक बड़ा प्यारा सा virtuous cycle बनता है monetization जब हम करते हैं. What happens is that when the government monetizes a brownfield asset, a brownfield asset is basically an asset which is close to being developed, or there is something that needs to be done to it, but by and large it is ready. A brownfield asset, if the government monetizes, then it basically creates a revenue out of it, which it plows back into creating new infrastructure. अब new infrastructure अगर बन जाता है, चाहे वो roadways हो, चाहे वो railways हो, चाहे वो shipping yards हो, चाहे वो national highways हो, these national assets can then be monetized again. So the virtuous cycle that I'm talking about basically means that the government creates the infra, monetizes it, generates the revenue, and again pumps it back into the infrastructure, which has a multiplier effect. इतना significant development है ये, but अगर इतना easy है तो पहले क्यों नहीं हुआ? There are certain challenges to monetization, and अगर इन challenges को आप समझना चाहें, then you can imagine that the contracts that are drawn under the PPP, sort of an arrangement with the government, ये काफ़ी complex contracts होते हैं, और by the way बहुत long contracts होते हैं, 20 से 30 सालों तक भी vary कर सकते हैं. Now the Achilles heel, as they say, or the areas that are problematic with such contracts is that there is a lack of an institutionalized dispute resolution process. There is a lack of transparency with regards to the commercialization of rates, and more importantly, the taxation issues always seem to pop up. Under the PPP model, इस किस्म की दिक्कत देखने को मिलती है. The clauses are very, very convoluted and very, very complicated for any of the players. Commercial gains seem to be at the back burner. Sometimes, अगर आप railways की बात कर रहे हैं, right? So imagine the same train competing with a government-run train for fares, and you will start to understand that anybody through the PPP model who's investing will tend to be worried about the margins as well. So what are those assets which are getting monetized? बहुत important है. हम roads को monetize करने जा रहे हैं over the period of the next 4 years, 1.6 lakh crores. हम railways को monetize करने जा रहे हैं. Of the 400 stations that will get monetized in FY22, 40 of those stations out of 400, 40 will get monetized. In a similar sense, power में 45,000 crores transmission के through और generation के through 40,000 crores will get monetized. Stadiums मैंने बात की, 11.4 thousand crores will get monetized. मैंने बात ports की थी, 12.8 thousand crores. Aviation की बात 20.7 thousand crores. These are huge numbers. These are huge numbers. And this government, if not any other, will have the resolve to meet the targets that it is setting for itself. So this is the biggest development. Now, you may ask me, Sanjeev ji, ये बातें सारी अच्छी हैं, but as an investor, मुझे क्या लेना देना? Right? मेरे लिए क्या मैटर करता है? मैं किस में इन्वेस्ट करूँ, किस में नहीं करूँ? And that's a question that, as an informed investor, you should understand. First of all, you should understand that this means that there are years and years ahead of us which will create jobs, which will revive the economic growth, which will raise the purchasing power of each and every individual. You will have to understand that the government and private spending will take a center stage. You will have to understand that this means that India Inc. is going to be ready for the giant leap in manufacturing once the infrastructure is in place as well. And with all these changes, it is not going to be a surprise कि अगर हमें मल्टी ईयर पीरियड देखने को मिले जहाँ पे जीडीपी आपका 2 डिजिट के ऊपर से ग्रो कर रहा है, right? And if all these things are true, then as an investor, not only infrastructure, which is a good bet in the medium term, but the ancillary, sort of companies that are popping up or the ancillary industries that are popping up are a good investment advice for all of us. So NMP has got those legs. NMP is a mega reform. NMP, if executed well, will basically mean that it will create a lot of buzz, a lot of structural changes that will be defining. Be ready for it. As an investor, सिर्फ infrastructure नहीं, ancillary industries, cements, बाकी की consumption based industries are going to be picking up. I thought I will end an informed investor with one last topic, which is very interesting. आपको इस क्रिसमस, आपको इस दिवाली, आपको इस नए साल, आपका जो हैंडसेट है, आपका मोबाइल फ़ोन है, आपके घर में जो बच्चों के टॉयज़ आप इंपोर्ट कर रहे हैं, या आप क्यूबन सिगार अगर पीने का शौक रख रहे हैं, या कोई भी इंपोर्टेड आइटम मंगाने की चेष्टा कर रहे हैं, वो थोड़ी महंगी होने जा रही है. That's a bad news. That the inflation on those imported items is going to be a little dearer to all of us. अब ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है? Because त्योहार आ रहे हैं इसलिए चीज़ें महंगी हो रही हैं? ऐसा नहीं है. The shipping costs, and this is something that I'm leaving with you, have really gone through the roof because of certain changes that are happening. इसको 2 मिनट में समझने की कोशिश करते हैं कि शिपिंग कॉस्ट बढ़ क्यों रहे हैं. ओके, नंबर 1, लेट्स कीप इन माइंड. आपने देखा है कभी ऑटो रिक्शा में अगर आप लेट नाइट जाते हैं तो ऑटो रिक्शा वाला आपसे कहता है कि मैं एक पॉइंट से बी पॉइंट पर जाने के लिए तैयार हूँ, लेकिन बी पॉइंट से वापस ए पॉइंट आने के लिए मेरे को कोई सवारी नहीं मिलेगी. आई वोंट गेट अ पैसेंजर ऑन द रूट बैक एंड हेंस आई एम गोइंग टू चार्ज यू अ लिटिल मोर देन द नॉर्मल फेयर. It's a similar term that is being used in shipping industry these days, that because of the phased COVID lockdowns in many countries, some countries are allowing exports to happen, but other countries where the lockdowns are being announced are basically having port restrictions. Now कहने का मतलब ये है कि यहाँ से कंटेनर फुल गया to a different country, but वहाँ पे कंटेनर ऑफलोड होने के बाद में दोबारा लोड होके वापस नहीं आया. And this is the container imbalance that is getting created in the way that different countries are announcing their lockdown measures at different points in time. Number 2, एक बहुत ही विचित्र सी, एक बहुत ही अजीब सी बात हुई, वो ये कि कोविड से जो रिकवरी मिली है उसमें जो पेंट अप डिमांड देखने को मिली है, that is mind boggling, to the point that people have a lot of disposable income, a lot of spending that they are doing on imported items which are being sent through the shipways. 80% of the goods, the freight which is done these days is done through ships. Now because of the overwhelming demand which is there is a lot of clog that is getting created at different ports. As an example, there is a lot of waiting period at US ports because of the demand that is getting generated. So there is a waiting period to get into the ports, there is a waiting period to offload the containers, there is a waiting period to load the containers back. And while the ships are waiting, all this is taking an awful lot of delay. If there is an unprecedented lockdown or an event of outbreak of virus that happens at the port, then the ships basically have to head back, leaving the empty containers at the port, which is causing a nightmare for all the ports across the world. But more importantly, आप ये भी तो सोचिए कि इतना कुछ अगर एक बार में आ रहा है तो वेयर हाउसिंग में चैलेंज हो रहा है, राइट? एंड इन दिस गिवन सेंस एवरीथिंग सप्लाई चेन इज गेटिंग टेस्टेड एज वेल. सेकेंड चीज जो हो रही है, एज एन एग्जाम्पल विच इज हैपेंड इन, pardon my pronunciation of this term, it is a Chinese port which is the third largest in the world. Its name is Ningbo Zhongshan. This is a port where on 11th of August, one of the port employees was detected with the Delta variant of COVID, and hence the port was basically locked down. Third largest port in China, and that meant that there were further shipping delays to the point that this time around there is an increase in the freights of electronic devices that are used for manufacture of various items that India produces, and the shipping charges have gone up by 40 to 50%. और इसीलिए मैं आपसे कह रहा था कि इस दिवाली, इस क्रिसमस, इस नए साल में इलेक्ट्रॉनिक आइटम्स जो आप मंगा रहे हैं वो पहले से थोड़ी सी और महंगी होने जा रही हैं. So we've already had the curse of inflation or the threat of it looming around the corner. With this given event of shipping costs going up, the charges are all destined to go up. Well, this is a credit that I like to give to FinShots. I've taken this particular item from them. It's a good read from them. Compliments to them. It said that when you distribute knowledge, it multiplies. I learned it from them. I am trying to decipher everything for all of you so that you become an informed investor. I hope you enjoyed this week's Informed Investor. There are two mega announcements that are already done yesterday. इनको हम कवर करेंगे अगले Informed Investor के एपिसोड में. तब तक मेरी आपसे ये आशा है, उम्मीद है और मैं प्रे कर रहा हूँ कि आप और आपके परिवारजन सेहतमंद रहें, खुश रहें, बिल्कुल in the pink of health as they say रहें. Till the time that we meet again, is Sanjeev Anand signing off. Goodbye.